right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Wednesday, February 3rd, 2021, Warrensville High School Board work session. At this time, Dr. Rock, can you please call the roll?
Yes. Mr. Freeman,
Here.
Mrs. Gator, Mrs. Mootman,
Here.
Mr. Roberts,
Here.
Here.
Miss Mitchell.
Here.
And echoes.
Sorry about that. All righty. At this time, if we can all be prepared, and I'll recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We are going to move to item 1.3. I need a motion on the floor to approve tonight's agenda, unless there are additions or deletions. Hearing none, if I can have a motion on the floor to approve tonight's agenda, please.
Madam Chair, I move item 1.3 to approve tonight's board session. Today is February 3rd, 2021.
May I have a second?
I second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Dr. Rock, can you please call the roll?
Mrs. Gator, Mr. Roberts,
Yes.
Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
Mrs. Mootman,
Yes.
Miss Mitchell.
Yes, motion passes 5-0. Mr. Jolly, did we have any public participation for this meeting?
No, ma'am. As of today at 12 noon, there was no email correspondence in our public participation.
Thank you so very much. We will move then to item 2.1, to an update on our facilities initiative.
Yes, I am pleased to announce today that yesterday we did receive approval from the city of Warrensville for our middle and high school project. This here is the ordinance that was approved and sent to us today. So at this time, we are moving full steam ahead with the building of the new middle and high school, and also stadium also.
That is awesome. Congratulations, board. Thank you so very much to our partners in the city of Warrensville. I just want to share, in recent conferences that we've attended, many school boards are starting to do what we did and collaborate with their local municipalities. And I'm just very excited about the trailblazing work we were able to do working with our 3 municipalities throughout our construction project, as well as some other projects that we've partnered with in the city of Warrensville. Next on our agenda is item 3, return to school district committee updates. And we will have a presentation of our first semester update.
Okay, 1 second. Yes, so at this time, I want to present the grades and attendance data from the first semester from our virtual time, so that everyone's aware of where we stand in a lot of areas. So as you can see, first quarter, the average unexcused absences for the district is 33 days. So we have 33 more days unexcused absence in comparison to last year. If you look, quarter 2, we had 22 days more additional unexcused absence, and this is students logging on the computer. So as you can see, there's a difference, 33 days in the first quarter, 22 days in the second quarter. So that is very significant amount of unexcused absences, the average unexcused district-wide. So our quest to get our kids back in school, this is part of the reasons that we really push for that. As you can see by quarter, in essence, you see that actually there's only a 1%, really a 1% difference in average rate, attendance rate per quarter. And that you see both quarter one and quarter two. So that's significant. That's not a big difference.
Mhm.
But the unexcused absences are, and that's students not in school without any excuse. So for the high school, and we're looking at the grade distribution, you see that there's a 4% increase in Fs for quarter two, but also an increase in As since last year. Quarter one also saw an 11% increase in Fs and a 9% increase in As. So that, I mean, that's relative. The Fs are a very serious concern. The increase of As, I commend. I do caution that there could be some grade inflation in that. That is something that we're really looking at. I did have a conversation with the principal because we want to be sure that an A during this time is an A in Warrensville, it's the same as an A in Beechwood, it's the same as an A in Orange, the same as an A in Solon. I am not all confident in that at this point, at this time, but we're going to work very hard to ensure that an A is an A, that the same standards and expectations that an A student receives at Beechwood High School would be the same expectations of a student at Warrensville High School. So as you can see, there is an increase in A's, which is a positive thing, but also an increase in F's, which is a concern. The middle school has seen a biggest increase in F's in quarter two, increasing by 24% and 18%. So 24% quarter two, 18%. Again, I know the team at the middle school is working hard to identify what are the reasons for that. A lot of it is kids logging on, it's engagement, and hopefully and prayerfully we will see with students back in school that we'll start to see decreases in some of these grades. Grades 2 to 5, we see an increase of 8% in F's. Last year, during quarter two, 50% of the scholars were earning A's across the board. So you can see that's almost a 15% difference between last year and this year with students earning A's. So you can see the lower the students get in age, the more effects that you're starting to see with how students are being graded and what their grades are. And again, we want to caution and just make sure as we move forward that our A's are the same in reference to some of our counterparts. And then pre-K to 1 has maintained consistency with satisfactory progress being made. But we've seen an increase of 15% in students not meeting expectations. So there's a clear deficiency in some students' performances. And another, as we all attest to, they're not in school and they're not being engaged and not engaged. Their time on task is less. So with that, these concerns we've addressed and we'll continue to address to ensure that moving forward that we can make up for the lost time. Okay, that's all right. So that concludes that review of the grades and attendance. The grades and attendance. Open to any questions about grades, attendance, or any what our plans moving forward. So today I did have a meeting with our curriculum team.
Mhm.
We will be engaging our schools very soon about what education would look like moving forward in our district. With us being in person, we definitely have to look at how we are teaching and learning on a daily basis. We have to know what kids don't know. We almost have to put every student on their own individualized instruction plan, because at the end of the day, we have to still get kids to the finish line. In this COVID experience, every child's experience was different. Their level of support was different. Their level of engagement was different. And now we have to look at every child, figure out where they are, and then we have to have a plan to move them forward, to catch them up if they're behind, but also to enhance the ones who are at grade level or above. So at our next meeting in March, our next work session meeting, I will be able to present our plan moving forward on how we will differentiate instruction, how we will look and monitor where students are, what we will do with students when they're not up to grade level, how we will assist and support teachers, and how we will continue this process until a third grader in Warrensville at the end of third grade is taught and assessed and has the same knowledge level as a third grader anywhere in this country. That is our goal, to ensure that every student in our district is able to compete and have the knowledge of every student, every counterpart in this nation. And we have to, this time really has us to re-image the way that we are delivering instruction. I believe that we have some of the greatest teachers and instructional leaders in the world. I mean, some of the accomplishments of this district are directly tied to the great teachers that we have. But this is a new challenge that will require new thinking and new methods. And I challenged our curriculum team, I challenged myself, and I challenge us to re-image this. And by next month, we should be able to come with a new plan of action. Hopefully, we will engage the union in some negotiations to talk about some extended school year and a modified calendar to build more time to catch our students up and to be partners in this whole process of remediating this learning loss exhibited by COVID, this COVID period, and really normalizing our expectation that our kids will learn and be at the same level as any child when this is all over. So that is our goal, and that's what we'll continue to work hard toward. Um, from now, I mean, we've been working hard for the last 6 years on it, but it's kind of the urgency of this new day is very paramount, and we have to make some drastic shifts in our thinking. So I'm sorry. Any questions at this time about the data, what the data is telling us, and what our plan is moving forward?
Superintendent Jolly. Sorry. I do have a question for you.
Yeah, we
Okay.
can't. I can't hear you, but his question was about our attendance procedures, and are we following the same procedure? Yes, House Bill 14 requires us to log attendance and make phone calls on a daily basis. So we are. But one thing we found with COVID, with these COVID delays, that a lot of students were out of district due to child care. Because their parents had to work and they had to go stay with grandparents. As far as Streetsboro, um, because some parents had to work and they had to work nights and their kids were everywhere. So, um, at no fault of our students and scholars, sometimes home visits didn't work because they weren't there, because
They
the
weren't there.
kids weren't there, because the family structure um made for students to have to go stay with different people who could monitor them on the computer. So I think at this time, as we stay in school and move forward on a lot of those attendance issues and grade issues will kind of resolve themselves. And then we will refine our process with this online piece to ensure that the mechanisms are in place that we know where kids are and able to get to them and touch them when necessary.
So just to confirm, Mr. Jolly, you said at our March work session meeting, you'll provide more detail on all the plans that you and the team will put in place to make sure the grades are accurate. We've got a plan to move forward to increase the grades, so on and so forth.
I think in March we're gonna come with a catch-up plan. What is
Okay.
a plan to catch students up? I think the grading and how that looks, all of that is gonna take. It's a process because of this pandemic and different things. It's just some normalization of expectations. But we're going to present a catch-up plan, how we plan to catch up our students in the next year.
Okay.
So that would be the presentation for March.
All right. Thank you, sir. Board, are there any other questions? Hearing none, we'll move on over to item 3.2, and we'll get an update on our COVID protocol from Dr. Richard Reynolds.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for the opportunity to address the board this evening. Just to ensure that everyone is updated on our progress and how we're moving forward with confirming or investigating COVID cases. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so that you can, it says host disabled, Mr. Jolly.
Okay, I'm sorry.
All right, no, that's okay. But I wanted to ensure that we knew step by step exactly what we were doing once we received information and the steps we were taking, and also how we communicated any of that information either to the school or to parents and so on and so forth. All right, here's the information. Right.
Mr. Reynolds, can you sure that we sent out the COVID handbook with the procedures and protocols to all staff on 2 occasions and made modifications since we've been back in the original?
Yes, we've made adjustments just to ensure that we're all on the same page when we're talking about with the new things that are coming across from either the Board of Health or coming from the CDC. So we've made adjustments to our employee handbook that is COVID related, that also includes some resources for any of our staff members to reach out to gain testing or any other resources available to them, as well as materials within the building. And I'll talk about that a little bit into this. This won't take long. I just wanted to go step by step. So first, can you all see that? Yeah. So first thing, as I discussed, we use all the guidelines that was provided for us from the CDC. This is a flow chart of what the CDC recommended that we do when we're investigating COVID cases, when the information is provided for us, what we're doing from this point. It says case assigned, but that is basically I'm assigning myself to investigate those cases, and I'm confirming information, referring them to speak with their doctors, referring them to additional testing, and also just talking about the things that need to do to. And this is actually what we do here in the district. Once I receive information that there is a possible case, I usually receive that either from building staff. A couple of times it's been through HR, where the building staff has contacted HR, from supervisors to alert me that there is an issue with a staff member, or a staff member has some questions, or either parents call me directly or they contact the building, which will in turn, they will contact me to let me know that there are some concerns. From that point, I begin the investigation by calling the parent, by calling the staff member, and asking a series of questions to better understand what the situation is. Again, we're using CDC guidelines. We're using guidelines from the health department as well to ensure that, once we receive the information, what to do next. Once we figured out that there is a situation where there's either been close contact, or if there is a confirmed case, we contact tracing from that point. We ask questions. Who were you in contact with? And we define what close contact is: within 6 feet for more than 15 minutes, within a 24-hour period. And we ask those sort of questions to figure out who we need to contact at that point. And then we determine who's in close contact. But many of the things that we've been dealing with so far has really been close contact, where a parent will contact us and say that their child, that they have tested positive, and then that would alert us that their child is in close contact. Then we go ahead and follow again CDC protocol with quarantining, providing more information, letting them know what other assistance that we can provide for them, as in materials. And then what we do is I then follow up, whether it's a staff member or whether it's a parent, I then follow up with an email just to confirm that everything that we stated, what the next steps are, how many days of quarantine, any assistance, and we take it from that point. And I do that just to ensure that there's no miscommunication, that everyone is on the same page, and that we know what we need to do moving forward. The last thing we want to do is to have something misinterpreted and students who are in close contact return back to school, or someone returns back to school a little early. That's why we make sure that we're documenting exactly what we're doing. And in those cases where there is a positive case, that's when we do everything we talked about with the close contact, with the contact tracing. We do all of those things, and then I'm in contact with the communications department, and we take the appropriate measures to then communicate that information to all the stakeholders who are involved in that building, teachers, parents, so on and so forth. So we do those communications. So here's what we do when there's a confirmed case. The district will communicate confirmed cases that are impacting that building. What happens in some cases is that some individuals in the district may expect us to notify everyone in the entire school district. That's not what the CDC or the health department holds us to. What we're held to is informing everyone in the building. And now that we're one building, let's say with our K-5 building, it's everyone within that building, not just the area that may have been just John Dewey or just Westwood or just Eastwood. That building is now one building, so that entire building will be informed if there is a confirmed case. We then go through and report to the Cuyahoga County. There are two levels of what we have to do with the contact tracing piece, and also how many people are confirmed cases in our building for that week. There are two different forms that I have to complete and send to the county each week. When we were on 100% remote learning, that was paused for a minute until we ended up coming back to the building. And now that we're back to the building, it is reported every week. And in addition, just to ensure that the community is informed, we're now going back, now that we're back in the building, we're going back to our dashboard where we're alerting the community of how many cases that we have within the buildings. And that's pretty much what we're doing, just to ensure that everyone is on the same page. That's why it was very important for me to ensure that I was communicating exactly what we're doing. Now that we're back in the building, I know there are probably a lot of questions on how things are happening, and I think this was an opportunity for me to really articulate what we're doing moving forward. And that concludes the presentation. Any questions so far?
So Dr. Reynolds, can you explain like situations where rumors start? What information do you use to make decisions?
Yeah. So everything I base, and honestly, even though I have studied this thing over and over, each situation I still go back and research just to make sure that I'm doing this right. So everything I'm using guidelines from both the CDC and guidelines from the Cuyahoga County Health Department. And in those situations, I follow protocol, and I also make recommendations to parents if they're in close contact. And there have been some cases where I felt like they needed to go ahead and ensure that their child was tested as well. I would recommend that their child is tested. So those are some of the things that I'm encouraging parents to do. And in some cases, some parents need some materials. So we're using materials that we've ordered for the district to ensure that and I've actually dropped them off at doors just to make sure that everyone has everything that they need, that the entire community is serviced appropriately. But these are not things that I'm using on my own to just make these decisions. all of these decisions are based upon, what I've learned from CDC and from guidelines from the health department.
So what documentation do you need to make a decision? I mean, what do you need documentation? What do you need?
Yeah. So when there's a confirmed case, whether it is a staff member or whether it is a student or a parent, I ask them to send over the documentation that they received from their doctor's office. A lot of our parents, a lot of our staff members use the My Chart app, which alerts them, allows them to just go ahead and forward that information to me. I even tell them just take a picture of the paperwork just so I can have that. And once I get that, all the wheels start moving once everything has been confirmed. And those are some of the documentations that I asked them for. I asked them for dates of first onset symptoms. We use those dates to figure out how long, or even to figure out exactly how we do our close contact. Our close contact goes from the onset symptoms. It goes 48 hours prior to onset symptoms. So this is important for me to have those dates, testing dates. All of that information is important for us to make the appropriate decision to either quarantine or how long we're quarantined, or to allow someone to return back to school if their test comes up negative.
Thank you.
Are there any additional questions?
I don't have any. I just want to thank you for coming back, especially with us returning back to school, and just reminding everyone of what our protocols are, how they continue to evolve as we continue to learn more, and how closely we are aligned with the Cuyahoga County Department of Health and CDC guidelines. So just thank you so much for coming on this evening.
Thank you. And if I could say one more thing, what we're trying to do as a district as well is to create these layers of protection for the buildings. And one thing that is an additional layer that we put into place is the health portal, the health check portal. And what that portal is basically asking parents, asking staff members to every day before they leave home, before they enter the building, to go ahead and tell us how you feel. If for some reason you're feeling under the weather, you plug that in, you'll receive a phone call from me asking, hey, how can we help? Hey, maybe today you need to stay at home today. And we've had some parents who are very good at this and allowed us to make some decisions to either ask them to keep their child home until we're able to determine what's going on, or to have us to remove a child who's gotten to the building and we received the information, and then we've made some changes or adjustments just to protect everyone in the building. And the only way this will work is everyone is doing this on a daily basis. So we're asking for everyone is on the website to go ahead and download that information to activate your accounts, just so we can have an additional level of protection in our buildings. We have the social distancing, we have the masks, we have all the hand sanitizing sanitation station, we have the desk shields, and this is an additional level just to make sure everyone is protected.
Is there a way for us to push a link or something out to the families in the district?
Yes, we've been making phone calls. We've also placed it on the website as well. So it is on the banner and it's right on the website, on the main website. And all you have to do is click, and it gives you a sheet, and it just hit the link, and it'll take you through the whole thing from there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I do have a question. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Reynolds, I know this is the second week that we've been in school in person. How do you feel, being in charge of this? How do you feel it's going? I've seen that you had the 6 feet markers everywhere, and I've seen the posters telling the scholars, what to do and what not to do. But how's it going on your viewpoint, just like for the first 2 weeks?
Yeah. So far, so good. So far, I think that the beginning has been more of figuring out exactly what works. You can have a plan, but once the rubber meets the road, you have to make some adjustments. We were doing some of those things along the way, like, okay, let's make sure we have more desk shields here. Okay, we didn't have the little tabs. Let's make sure I drop off those things. Just making those adjustments to ensure that those things are in place. There's still some things that I want to ensure that we're doing on a daily basis. So I've been in buildings just monitoring and just helping as much as I can possibly help. But so far, so good. Everyone at the beginning was a little nervous because, we're coming back into the building. But I think the things that we have in place have helped tremendously, and just having conversations with teachers and what they're feeling. And okay, just today I've had a conversation with a teacher and she gave me additional ideas of what we can do to ensure that they even feel comfortable. I think the things we have in place will protect them, but it's also important that our teachers and staff members just feel comfortable in the building. So that's where I am right now, with just plugging away and just touching base with staff members, with principals, just with everyone, just to make sure that we're doing everything possible. One, to stay safe, and two, just to feel comfortable within the building.
Thank you, Dr. Reynolds.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Good question.
Thank you so much. If there's nothing else, Mr. Jolly, I'm going to leave the agenda in your hands for
Okay.
item 3.3.
3.3 just centers around our first week back to school. And and basically, I just want to go through and show you some illustrations of what went on the first week of school, and share with you the final numbers that we have. So as you can see, this is the first week. This is at the elementary school, and all the processes is going on. We did have some with moving all three schools into one. Our entry in the morning and our departure in the evening. Our first day of school was a challenge, but each day the team came together and got better. And they're at a point now where it's just seamless, where they have an automated system to alert the when the parents come up. They have some cards in their car. We have people outside. They in their phone or iPad type in the name, and then the name, it goes inside the building, and then they send the kid out. A parent might wait a minute, 2 minutes tops, and you got to think we put three schools together in the process. I would like to send just a congratulatory work to Ms. Callahan and Mr. Alexander, and for their work with the busing. Busing is different because you only can have a certain amount of kids on the bus, and making adjustments with putting three schools into one. I mean, that's a monumental task in the middle of a school year, and they did an outstanding job. The pictures you see here is of the middle school. And as you can see, the social distancing, you see the students separated.
You have
and
to
so
share your
forth.
screen.
We can't see the picture.
Y'all see the screen?
No,
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
that's okay. You were on a roll. I didn't want to interrupt you.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought I shared it. Like you see it now. Let's see.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, yeah, so this is the middle school, and this is the high school. So again, you see the social distancing students so far. High school has the smallest numbers though. So, and this is the middle school. So here's our numbers now. And as you can see, we have more students virtual than in person. You can see the high school numbers are very low, about 120, 130 students total at the high school. Middle school numbers are low too. The majority of the students that are in session are at Warrensville Heights Elementary School. So a large group of students is taking advantage of coming to our new school. Now, I would say this to the board, is that we really, and this conversation came up today, because we anticipate as vaccines roll out, we anticipate that more people gonna want to come to school in the fall. And if we have to maintain these social distancing requirements, that one of the elementary schools might have to come back into play, because we're going to need more space. So that is a conversation that we will have to start having, really looking at that, because we'll tear them down and won't have any place for these students to go. So we really have to start looking at projections for next year, really getting a gauge on how many students are going to really come back, and then looking at who would we put at the elementary school, what grade levels or so forth. So that is a conversation that we definitely, I would probably ask the board to have at our work session in March, because we'll have some tentative information, but some real serious decisions about that is needed, because after we started, we've had a lot of kids want to come back, and we've not allowed them to come back because we don't have the space. So that concludes the opening of school. Again, Dr. Reynolds has done a great job with making sure we have the tools necessary to ensure that everyone is safe. He's very responsive. When things happen, he addresses it immediately. Um, and when things happen, we know they're going to happen. We deal with each case on a case-by-case basis and continue to try to move forward.
Thank you very much. Any comments, thoughts, questions, board? All right, without any, we'll move on to section 4, which is we're gonna.
Let me get the agenda.
Okay.
I did when I did. I don't think I shared this. We probably should have shared this about the vaccine. I do need to share that information, like the rollout of the vaccine and how
Go right
that's
ahead.
going to go. So today we got notice from the ESC. I got notice from the ESC of what's going to happen. So what the preliminary plan is that all vaccines in Collier County, with the exception of Cleveland, will be done at the ESC. Every district will be assigned a time frame. So they'll say maybe ours is on February 11th. Starting on February 10th, though, they will be giving vaccines for 10 days. At that time, they will give us all both dates, the first date and the second date that the vaccine will be administered. So our plan at this time, and one more requirement, is that all people who go, they must have a photo ID. So for what I must do is, when I get the final directions, we will submit the list of all people who signed up. We had about 170 people on the final sign-up list. So all 170 people name will be submitted. They will have to bring their ID, and then the process will start. With the amount of people, whatever day that we have the vaccine, we're planning to have a teacher work day. And basically what will happen is the teachers will report, and when it's time to go get the vaccine, we will allow them to go get the vaccine, but we will not require them to return back to the building because of the effects of the vaccine and so forth. We would prefer that people go home and rest and then come back the next day ready to go. I think that will give people comfort that they'll be able to be comfortable after they receive the vaccine. So as I get information, I will email the board. I've emailed the staff, so the staff has received the information. I did copy the board on that correspondence. And as this process, it changes daily, it evolves by the minute. I'll keep everybody updated on what happens next.
Thank you, sir. All righty. We look forward to hearing more about that. Now I guess we're ready to pull the agenda back up, and we'll go to item 4.1. Wanted to discuss our existing Reaching New Heights 5-year strategic plan. We have done an amazing job meeting those goals, but it's time. We are in 2021, so it is time to take a look at that plan, determine of the 5 tenets, how many of those we completed 100%. Those tenets that we did not completely finish, where we are with them, what work still needs to be done, and we need to make some decisions on whether or not they should be included in the next plan, be it 5 years, if we do a plan longer than that. So Mr. Jolly, I was going to ask, will your team be ready to share that information with us at our work session in March?
Yes. So our team will be able to present our progress on the Reaching New Heights strategic plan. And just reviewing the plan, there are some areas that we've completed everything in. And then there's others that we still have progress. But we will have a formal report where we will go through each goal and share where our progress is. So we'll be able to present that on March 3rd also.
Awesome. Awesome. That is great because, that we got to see where we left off so that we can build on and go to our next plan.
And I want to say this, though, in reference to the plan. We had two plans since I've been here, the Return to Excellence plan and the Reach New Heights plan. Both have driven the work that we've done. And the building of the new schools, our curriculum, new programming, they all were part of those plans. So the importance of this plan that we'll create now will take us to the next level. When I say the next level, it goes back to being where our students learn the same things that other students learn across the state and nation, that our kids would be able to compete with any student in the world. And I think our plan has closed some serious gaps in that. And I think the next plan will close all gaps and we'll be what I consider the best school district in the state of Ohio, and if not the whole country. So we will have the report where we will share what has happened, the good, the bad, the ugly, and as we plan the next one, we'll be very strategic on how we can take those next steps to get us where we need to be.
Sounds good. And I think the next one, I'm sure we will look at some short-term goals relative to what we'll need to wrap in with our COVID recovery, as well as a normal plan just to keep us on track and moving forward, as you just said. So looking forward to a good discussion. With that, we're going to move to item 4.2, because to build the plan, we've got a plan to build the plan. So I'm going to hand it over to Mimi, and you can share what you've learned so far so that we can begin working on building out the new plan, pricing, costs.
Can you hear me okay?
We sure can.
Good. All right. So board and board team, I did reach out to OSBA to see if they would give us a price to do the work session for us. I'm sorry, not the work session. Strategic plan for us. And they gave us a couple of different options. The first one was a $900 charge just to refresh.
I can't hear you.
You have to talk into the computer. We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. They're looking in my nose.
Do you have your headset?
No, it's not working. It's not working. So anyhow, there was a $900 charge to refresh our strategic plan. OSBA would come in, go over all of the points that we would review with Mr. Jolly in March, and help us to revise it. Or if we needed to completely rehaul it, it would be a $2,000 charge, and they would come in. Oh, I want to say it was a couple of different sessions that they would come in and meet with us, very similar to what we did before, where we had all the community members coming in, sat around, and a lot of good discussion. So either $900 to refresh or $1,000 to completely revamp it. That's what I found out.
One question, Madam Chair.
Yes, sir.
They gave us just the two options maybe, or that's all they gave us was the...
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All righty. All righty. So we'll have to make that decision. Because Mr. Jolly, I'm pretty sure we're going to follow a very similar format with community members that will be asked to come and join us, community educators, parents, the board.
Yes, and I think I would request that the board start to gather some names of some community people that they would like to be part of this process, so we can get them, start putting it on their agenda to try to, map out some or put out some time so that they could be available to be part of the process.
Thank you so much. So Mimi, will Cheryl send us a proposal with that information, or once we make a decision?
I think once we make a decision,
Mhm.
is when she would send a formal proposal.
Okay.
I guess we would just need to decide which way we want to go.
So, Mr. Jolly, board, are we thinking just well, it'll need to be a full rehaul.
Yeah, I think it's a full rehaul. That's my belief.
Okay. So can you ask her to prepare for a full rehaul, a proposal for the full rehaul?
Okay.
All right.
And then what I would like to do, if it's okay with you, is kind of pass it on to you and Mr. Dolly.
She's just saying after she gets the proposal, she's going to hand the baton to Mr. Jolly and I, and we'll move forward with more
With the
formal planning.
Yes.
I got you.
We're just gonna just bear with us, everybody. She has some technical difficulties, and her headset is not working, so she's just trying to make the best of it. All righty, so we'll get the proposal, we'll get it over to Mr. Jolly, we'll move from there, and then we'll have a more robust discussion on this topic at our March work session.
Fine.
Okay, thank you guys.
Sounds good.
Next on the agenda is finalizing the dates for our second portion of our board retreat. I know we did ask Deborah Keys Wright about a June date. Unfortunately, I only heard from 2 board members. So when we are emailing, we do hope that people will review and respond. As a result of my not getting anything back, when I reached out to Deb this morning, she shared that she only had one session set of dates available. That's June 24th through the 26th, which I emailed everybody earlier today. So I did ask her to hold those dates for us. So at this time, if everybody can just say yes, that timing is good, it's far enough out for us to put it on our calendars and lock it down so we can lock her in.
It's good for me, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Roberts, Dr. Rock, Mr. Jolly. All right. All righty, then those will be our dates. It's going to run on the same format as she did our December retreat. And again, I did forward the email so that you can see what she outlined for us. Thank you much, very, very much. All righty, I'm going to, is it easier for you to have Earl talk about the new member?
Are you good with it, Earl?
Okay, Mr. Roberts, if you'll do us a favor and take us into section 5.2, discuss the development of the new board member orientation guide.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Chair. Board Member Gator and myself did get together, change conversation about putting together the new board member orientation guide. I guess with myself being the newest member, I was able to offer
Okay,
some
hold on one
insight.
second.
There'll be some things
Okay, hold on
will
one
carry
second.
over, and we do see
Hold on a
ourselves being
second.
able to
Earl, hold on one second. There's I don't know what's happening. You're horribly delayed,
how about
and
now?
we're hearing feedback as well.
Okay. How about still now?
That's better.
Is it in there?
No, it's still there. Go
Okay,
ahead,
go ahead,
Mimi.
Mimi.
Sorry about that.
All right, hopefully you can hear me okay.
We can.
All right, so we did reach out to, again, OSBA to get some assistance and some prices to do a board member handbook. And what Cheryl said is that they could provide a digital template of a handbook, which would include a suggested table of contents and just some base ideas, base language that we could use. Our team would customize and add to the template, and the cost for the electronic template alone would be $750. In the second option, we would use that template, but they would come to us and work with either Earl and I or the entire board team to draft additional language. And then they would bring it back to us for a second meeting, and the cost for that would be $2,000. The
Oh,
second meeting would be with the full board, definitely, to make some additional edits and changes so that we can prepare a final draft.
So quick question. I know we did get started on this last year, and we started out with an outline. I'd have to go through my files. I can pull it.
Yeah,
So
we
can we
did.
so we can start with that as our framework? Okay.
Mhm.
So board, what are your thoughts? Would you prefer the ease of having OSBA come in and develop the discussion, the orientation guide in full, which would mean they would write all the copy, they would make sure the flow is appropriate, they would just build it from front to back, versus our having to try to carve time out of our normal lives, and someone would be responsible for writing the content, running the reviews. OSBA has a lot of experience doing this, and we can leverage their years of experience in this space and be able to produce a guide much faster than we could. So what is everybody's thoughts?
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
question. I know when Miss Gator looked into this in 2016, and I think she pulled 4 or 5. Did we know how they did it, like Toledo and the one in Virginia? Mimi, do you recall?
Toledo worked with OSBA.
Okay,
I'm not sure how Virginia did it, but I know several districts here in the state of Ohio went through OSBA.
okay. And do we have any from our local area, or do
Not that I'm aware of. I've seen Dayton and Toledo for sure.
Yeah, okay. All right.
For some reason, a lot of districts don't have it, and it's such a viable and
Right.
valuable guide to give to new members.
yeah, but what I'm thinking is for OSBA, this is not something new. I mean, there's always new board members, like every 4 years. This would be something already written. And why should we pay another $2,000? That's something that should already be in place anyway.
Because it would be custom for our district. It's
Well,
custom.
I wouldn't agree for 2,000. No way. Ooh.
Well, who would type it? I mean, that would be the question. And Ms. Moomin, just so you know, there is a school board handbook that OSBA puts out, but like Madam Chair said, it's not custom to the things that are specific to what we do.
It shouldn't be that different. It shouldn't
Some
be.
of it is. Not
mean-
everybody does everything, you know.
I'm not saying everybody does everything the same. I'm just saying something just should be clear, precise, to the point.
So I think, go ahead.
Go ahead.
The information is clear and concise. And I hear what you're saying, Ms. Barbara. We've got those mini handbooks that we get as new board members. Those are very helpful.
It is.
But as a new member, plus if you think about it, then we've got the big book from NSBA, which has a plethora of information. This will give us an opportunity to customize a booklet for our board based on our district, provide our district history, do a combination of information from what we know and learn from OSBA, as well as the more robust and more granular information that we learn from NSBA, that as a new board member, they don't go and tackle that 1.5-inch book. I can guarantee there's board members that we know that haven't even really cracked the book open to look at, but the information that's in there, especially those of us that use it, you'll hear us call it the board Bible.
Right.
So we will pull information from that's not necessarily in the little bitty booklets from OSBA to make sure we are helping our new board members who are joining to acclimate more quickly to not just being a new board member, but being a board member in our district. And the $2,000 amount consists of, you've got to pay for the hours for somebody to do the creative work. You've got to pay for the time for somebody to lay all of that into a template. They've got to write. They've got to do the research. They've got to work with us to do the interviews, the meetings that Mimi just talked about too. That's all time. And we have to.
I understand that. I do, but I just don't feel that we should pay the state $2,000. That's something that we may be able to pull together ourselves. It's just simple as that. And I understand it's gonna create a lot of work, but I mean, I'm not for paying this. I'm not for paying OSBA $2,000 for something that they should have already had in place in the first place.
Ray, your thoughts?
That's
I
just
think-
my opinion.
Madam Chair, I think it's needed. I think Ms. Gator worked very hard in the past, and we did entertain it. I think even before 2016, I'm sure she had conversations with me about it. I think every particular district should have a handbook adjacent to that district and how they run things. I'm always talking about we are Warrensville. I am Warrensville. So I think to customize it and make it precise, it needs to be to Warrensville. But the only thing that I have I'm a little weary of, if making sure that they have the input from the district, from the superintendent, everybody, just to give a little bit of information. When Earl Roberts came along, and I actually attended the one that he went to, and they had a big crew. It was about 80 people, or Earl can attest to this. And I came, and OSBA does love our district. They do know it, like you say, Madam Chair. And for them to even let me speak when Earl was there last year was good. But I think, and he can speak to this more than I think I am, because I mean, me and you and Mimi are, and even you, Barb, we're old heads now. We done did well over 4 years our term. So I would have Earl speak to this more, but I think we need it. $2,000 is not a lot, because what it does, Barbara, is going to take the next board. I mean, we're not going to be here forever. I know I'm not. I know Superintendent Jolly, Tracy ain't going to be here, or Mimi. So this gives them some guidance. So when they do come, we want everything that we're doing, the legend, to continue. So, what we're doing for these kids is going to be talked about for many years when we're in the grave. So I think we need something just for us, for Warrensville, to give to the next person, to give the next person. You are an educator. You educate children for many decades. This actually would be a Bible of the district that we can memorialize for other school board members coming along. But I would refer to Mr. Roberts to speak on to this. Earl?
Are you still having problems down there, Earl?
I'm on the track to make sure.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, how am I sounding now?
It's
terrible.
It's
Still no
yeah.
good.
Yeah, sorry.
You might have to do it just through your computer, not with the headphones.
Well, to be real quick, I agree with Ray. I think we should do it. I think it would provide us with great value.
So just for clarity, he said he
Y'all-
agrees.
Can y'all hear me now?
No.
That's all right. You good. You good.
Okay, let's.
Let Madam Chair describe it.
Right, since
I
I,
think-
sound
I
terrible,
think
I'll
what
just say
he's-
let's do it.
Yeah, I think what he just said was it would provide value. It would be very helpful to new board members. And to Ray's point, I know I always talk about making sure we are memorializing what we've done. This board has done a lot of good work since 4 of us have been on it. And we work very, very hard to put new processes, not necessarily new processes, but make sure we were adhering to our code of ethics, all of our protocols. We've worked hard to kind of turn the corner and put, I want to say, better operations on how we function as a board. And as Ray's point, we all aren't going to be here forever. So as we hand off to the next generation of board members, we want to be able to give them a document that they can refer to and learn from. Again, that is, I'm talking really loud, that's customized to this district.
Mhm.
And so I know $2,000 sounds like a lot, but if you break it down into at a 4 to 8 hour day, that's not that much, because it's going to take them. They're going to come in, they will meet with us, they will work with the board, they'll take a look at the outline that we developed. They're going to do all of that work, and that is time. So you've got to pay for time, you've got to pay for the actual development of the work, and then you've got to pay for the editing, where there's going to be a period once it's written, and we're going to go back and forth with reviews. So they've got to account for all of that. In the scheme of things, I know $2,000 sound like a lot, but if we were to have our agency do it, we could look at double to triple that amount.
Madam Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I could ask if Cheryl wants to maybe present at the next meeting briefly in case there's any additional questions. Would that kind of help ease some of the questions and concerns?
Would that help, Barbara?
I didn't hear.
Oh, she said she could ask Cheryl to come and present to us at the meeting at the end of this month.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
share information, so you can ask questions of her directly, because we are kind of answering on her behalf.
Oh, okay. You know what? I don't have a problem with that. I just feel that because we've spoken on Warrensville, and what we want to leave for someone else should be focused, something that we should do. We should, but like you said, it takes a lot of time in doing that. I know we need a manual for new members. I do know that, because I know for me, it would have been very helpful, because I'm learning as we are all learning. We all are still learning as we go. So when you say $2,000, it's just, wow, $2,000. This is something that Mr. Jolly could pay somebody to do. But you know what? But I'm all for, if you want Cheryl to come in, fine. I have no problem.
Why don't we do this? Let's have her come in and make a presentation at our the February meeting. We can ask her questions, and if she recognizes that we've got a very strong foundation of what we want, they just have to build it out. We've got a lot of the information. We might be able to negotiate another price with her. Who knows?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So if you could
we
just
don't want a thick book. We want something
not
we want something real condensed.
We don't even want a book. We
right.
Want something
a manual.
Added to the
pamphlet.
Yeah. And you keep saying $2,000. I'm going back to the strategic plan. Did I say $2,000?
You said 2.
It's 10.
10.
It's 10.
Yes. As I was talking about this, it's 10,000.
What?
10,000.
Wait. Hold it. We cannot all speak at once. Please let her talk.
I apologize. But yeah, as I was reading this, 2 different quotes, I remembered. For them to come in for full community engagement, it was $10,000.
Wow.
So I want to see if Mr. Jolly, that's a lot. Now that's a lot of money if we want to do the full community engagement. So maybe there might be another organization that could come in and assist with that, and be a lot more cost effective. Right. I don't know, Mr. Jolly, if you have some connections, some people in mind, agency ESC might be able to help in some kind of way. So I did want to clarify that. I kept hearing 2,000, but I know it's 10.
Whew.
Definitely, I'll look at something. I'll see if I can come up with some other alternatives.
Thank you. So it's 10,000 for the strategic plan to rebuild, 2,000 for our new board member.
Template, yes.
Okay.
But it is $900 for them to just come in and help us refresh.
Okay, all right.
I apologize for the
That's
confusion.
okay.
That sounds
Just ask her to give us a proposal for both.
Okay,
Just send a proposal for both so we can review it.
okay.
And then Mr. Jolly, you'll see other options that we might have for the strategic plan.
that sounds right though too,
All right.
because I remember when we had the strategic plan, we met at least
Mhm.
5 times.
Yeah, we did.
I don't recall it being quite that much though, but maybe it's gone up some.
That's
It was up there, but I don't recall it being that much.
I don't recall it being that much neither.
We just might need the overhaul.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, because I mean we've put a lot of work
Yeah.
into our district, but we do need somebody that is strong to facilitate the conversation.
Mhm. Mhm.
So we'll see if we can get some more information for you.
Okay, that'll work.
Okay.
So just to reiterate, we'll get Cheryl to do a full proposal for the strategic plan for the $900 amount and the
Okay.
10,000, and then we'll invite her into the February regular meeting to talk to us about the new member orientation guide. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty. So next on our agenda, we don't have any board policy to review tonight, but I do want to please remind everybody that Maddie worked diligently to get the volume 39, number 1 to us. And then earlier today, she sent one policy on its own, 2431, that should be there. So please make sure you've read through, because we will do our first reading at the March work session, our second reading at the March 17th regular meeting, so that we can go through and get these policies approved, updated, and on board docs.
Quick question. So I know we just got a new update in January this month. Mr. Jolly, do you know how long it will take for your team to go through that one as well? Because I think the one that we're doing now is from August.
Yeah, I think we'll be ready by March. I mean, we'll be ready by March with the August, the one.
No, August is what August is what we're reviewing now.
Yeah.
39.
So I'm wondering if
I think April, we'll be ready by.
okay.
We'll finish the first one and then we'll be ready for the second one in April. We'll be ready in April.
So maybe we could be ready to board approve it like by June, kind of like how we did this last one here. I mean, I know that's still out a little bit, but we can catch up anyway.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All righty. Dr. Rock, do we have any correspondence?
No, we did not.
Mr. Jolly, are there any further announcements?
No, ma'am, no further announcements.
All righty. Board, any new announcements?
Madam Chair, I think everybody got it, but all of the councils for the National School Board Association is looking for members for their council seats. So you're looking at the Black Council, the Q, Hispanic, and Alaska Native Indian. So I don't know if you guys got that.
Yeah, we did. I think Cube is only looking for 2 different regions. And honestly, I didn't look to see what NBC was looking for.
All right. I just want to
thank you for the reminder, though.
It's open to February 8th. So Monday it closes up.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Madam Chair, I did want to announce that I did register, and I mentioned it to you, but kind of formally announced that I did register for the equity next week. Is it next week?
Yes.
Next.
The equity symposium is next Wednesday, the 10th.
Yeah. Right.
And just as a reminder, folks, that one is on NSBA. That's free of charge. So it'll be interesting to hear, because this will be the first time we've had
Yeah,
someone else go to it. So it'll be great
True.
to hear.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Awesome. Well, if that is all that we have for this evening, I think it is time to bring our meeting to a close. If I can have a motion on the floor to adjourn tonight's work session.
Madam Chair, I move that we adjourn tonight's work session, February 3rd, 2021.
Thank you. May I have a second?
I second.
We are officially adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for a good evening. Stay warm because we're getting ready to go into this polar vortex. So stay warm and stay safe out there. Thank you.